Roll up, ladies and gentlemen, roll up for the video extravaganza of a lifetime! Ho-ho! Yeah, I thought I'd start a new series of videos in which we will take masterpiece levels and other sections of gameplay, unpack how they work, and I'll try and put my argument to you as to why I think they're as good as I say they are. We're starting today with a level from a PlayStation 2 game called Rayman Revolution. It's the first level, it's called the Fairy Glade. So the format for this video is going to be that I'm going to assume that you're familiar with the level. Since it's a bit presumptuous, I know, I'm also going to include a link in the video description to another video I'll do, which is just a complete run-through of the level with no commentary. So have a watch of that, or just a skim through it, and it'll help you understand the arguments I'm about to make. So anyone who wants to watch that, go do that now. And everyone else, roll up for the video excitement time! Ho-ho! Okay, so, it's my opinion that you can't fully appreciate the experience of playing a game just by watching it being played. So, if all you've done is watch my playthrough footage, you may be wondering why I think this level is particularly good. Well, my answer to that is that this level engenders a powerful expectation in the player as a first level about what the rest of the game is going to be like. It makes the player feel strongly that the rest of the game is going to do something very interesting, something which to my mind has not been adequately done in the third-person platforming medium to this day. And it creates this remarkable effect by executing what I'm going to term a tonal shift. Now this shift touches all aspects of the game experience, but it's easiest for you to see what I mean if we start with the visuals and sound. So have a look at this scene and unpack what it contains. Well, it's a pastoral scene. We've got a frog sort of frolicking. I believe there's a butterfly, there we go, a fluttering as well. There's one or more fish down here merrily swimming. We've got images of living things, as well as a couple of glow boxes hopping over there. We've got plants and flowing water. Everything here is full of life. We're in broad daylight, and as a result of this, the lighting is very naturalistic. It's the lighting that you would get in an outdoor scene. What's more, there's music that's setting a fairly neutral tone, and the music in this game never gets terribly cheerful. That's just a stylistic choice that's covered throughout it. But the music here, it's not exactly foreboding or anything like that. And also the shapes, to the extent that the PlayStation 2 can muster, are fairly naturalistic. Plants look like plants, trees look like trees, mushrooms are shaped like mushrooms, frogs shaped like frogs. So all of the visuals, including indeed the kind of size of this area, it's neither too big nor too small really, it's not an uncomfortably tight or intimidatingly wide space, all of this, visually and audibly, sets the player at their ease. But you compare what we have in this shot with what we have in the climax to the level, then the visual and auditory contrasts are just profound. I mean, that naturalistic lighting is replaced by film noir style lighting, with areas of high contrast between light and shade to create an off-kilter tone. Similarly, the natural shaping of things becomes crooked. So you've got crooked, distorted prison cells. And if we look inside one of them, just look at the way that the walls and ceiling are so completely off angle. You know, everything out of kilter, including the window as well. Unsettling tone. Similarly, see these bones here? Yeah, that's what those living things become by this point in the level. Imagery of life and existence and frolicking is just replaced by death, imprisonment, and woe. And at this most powerful moment in the level, just listen to the lack of music. As that music has been replaced by a great and terrible silence, punctuated only by the sound of a grim machine. And, there we go, the plaintive cries of a trapped creature. This is unsettling stuff. And it's a similar story inside the machine room. So, because the game presents this as a continuum, the player doesn't, at this point, think, okay, the game is occasionally going to throw unsettling things at me, like if we look in here, the sort of eerie green lighting, the pools of stagnant water with rotting fish at the bottom, and is it just me, or does the texture of the water look like it's got screaming faces in it? Yeah, maybe it's just me. But yeah, because this is all presented as a continuum, the player isn't going to think, okay, the game's occasionally throwing this stuff at me. The player's going to think, okay, this is what the game is going to be about. This is what the game is progressing towards. I'm excited and apprehensive at the same time to see a game that takes this as its style. I want the gameplay to be the main focus of this vid, so I shan't show the full continuum in the visuals. However, whilst we're going along and doing the continuum of change that the gameplay exhibits, just keep your eyes open for the visual changes as well, and you'll see how they complement one another. Ditto with the auditory ones. So, yeah, grab yourself a biscuit or something, and let's get stuck in to showing how the game uses a change in gameplay to generate in the player the sense that things are gonna get heavy. So, what gameplay experience characterises the start of the level? Well, player comes into Fairy Glade and they see that door, and that arrow indeed. Now, doors, as an obstacle in the old Book of Gaming tropes, have very standard solutions to them that everyone knows about. You come across a door in a game, and you know you're going to have to either find the jolly old key, or the jolly old switch or lever that opens it. So the player knows, come across their first obstacle here, they already know, just by looking at it, how to solve it. And they're given guidance towards solving it in the form of this arrow, telling them to jump on the mushroom. The player does that, boing, shoom, pow! They get the reward sound and they see the switch in the top left corner, red contrasted against the green. So they know not only how to solve the obstacle, but where exactly the specific solution is. So they know what they're going to be doing in the next minute and a half. They'll be getting up to the switch, flicking it, and moving on. So this is one of the three things that characterises the start of the level. A sense of direction and guidance and purpose. Another thing that characterises it is a sense of dynamism and speed. Look how quickly we're taking this platform section. We're taking each platform at a run, and we're climbing in height, change of elevation, which makes it seem as if we're moving nice and slick. And we come across an enemy here, pow, one hit, pow, two hits, enemy's dead. So, at the start of the level, the rate at which we overcome obstacles is pretty swift. And we get reward sounds and cutscenes aplenty, telling us that we're doing the right thing. So, dynamism and speed are another element that characterises the start of the level. The third element is, how do I best term this? It is a sort of sense, well, failure at the start of the level is pretty insignificant. If I, for instance, poot along back here and jump into the goo, doom, respawned nice and quick, and I get another crack. If I get hit by a piranha, take a tiny bit of a hit, even if I get knocked into the water, still, I'm back in the game very quickly, haven't lost an ounce of progress, and I can just keep rolling through. So, at the start of the level, the player probably will fail, because again, they're new at the game, but they won't feel like a failure, because the game quickly glosses over any failures that the player commits, and allows them to concentrate on their successes. So these three things, a sense of speed, a sense of purpose and direction, guidance, and a sort of slight insulation from failure, are what characterises the start of the level. And you can spot different ways this is handled. For instance, here, these kind of open areas with clear sight lines allow the player to see exactly what route they need to take to get through each area. I mean, I can see I need to go up the verge, up that green thing, platform, jump on the piston things through the hole. So all the time here, I know what it is I'm doing, I see obstacles, I overcome obstacles nice and quickly. Again, pirate here, 1 hit, 2 hits, done. Bob's your uncle, everything's all groovy. These 3 things change as we go through the level, and they create a tonal shift that is an equivalent to the tonal shift that happens in the visuals. See, from speed we move to a slower aesthetic where every obstacle takes a long time to deal with and everything becomes arduous. From a sense of direction, the game scales back the kind of guidance and help that it gives you and forces the player to rely on their own intuitions and also things that the game has passively taught the player without them knowing. So the player will start to feel like they're kind of on their own, the game's no longer holding their hand, and they may begin to doubt their abilities as they face challenging obstacles that will test their ability to suss stuff out. And at the same time, in the sort of last parts of the level, the player will suffer proper consequences for failing. They will have to retry things if they fail, and such retries will take a lot longer, so they have more time to dwell on their failures. And like arduousness, doubt, and failure are to gameplay what gloom is to visuals. It creates a much darker tone, which, as I say, for the rest of the game, because it's still entertaining, is a very promising tone to evoke in the start of your level. You'll notice I'm not really talking about this section I've just come through. I think, although it is still doing stuff, it'll be easier if I focus on the bit we're about to come into, because you'll be able to see how it contrasts with the piranha platforming section that we just did, and also if you saw what was going on with the tree, which I'll recap on in just a sec. So if we come down here and bust our way into that corridor. Just one thing to note here though, this cutscene tells the player, pirate's important. But, I mean, the player doesn't know what they're doing here at this point. There's no arrow like there was with the mushroom. So the player has to learn for themselves the new mechanic of barrels destroy crosses before they can proceed. And that, of course, is important for what the game has us do later. But anyway, if we pop down here, this bit. Like, I made some points with the piranha section. See how they contrast here. Firstly, no changes in elevation, but platforms instead zigzag from left to right. That means that although we might be moving Rayman along just as quickly, it feels like we're covering less distance, and indeed we are. At the same time though, each of these platforms is smaller, and they're closer together, which means that we can't take them at a run. We have to, even if we don't do what the game just told us to, and carefully line up our shadow with the helicopter, you still can't really jet through these. And that ticking sound from the red lums, it's encouraging the player to go more quickly, but of course they can't really go more quickly for the reasons I've just listed, so that it feels like they're being held back by this section, as compared with the proper tempo that they feel they ought to be going through this with. So, I mean, it's just two very short sections, but the way this compares with the piranha section, I think highlights quite well how the game is shifting how it plays, and telling the player that the rest of the game isn't going to be a cakewalk, it's going to be tough. Also, this bit, compare this with climbing the tree. If you saw with climbing the tree, the camera swiveled around the tree in a kind of Michael Bay dynamic 360-degree shot, which made it seem as if we were moving pretty swiftly, even though we were moving at the same rate. However, here, if I do that again, camera... Oh, whoops. One moment. Camera sits sort of all Jenningsy at the bottom of the angle, so we're just looking up, and therefore it seems as if there's less dynamism here. We're just slowly trudging upwards, dodging the barrels. So it's the same task, climbing up a thing, but the way that the game angles things and positions things and gives visual information to the player makes it seem as if things take longer, even when they actually don't. Another way, but I mean sometimes it just does take longer to do things. We're given another indication of a switch that we need to get to. But compare how long it takes us to get to that switch, dithering around inside this pirate bit, with how long it took us to get to that first switch. It's much longer. And we're getting a lot more bogged down in this bit. See, we just dispatched a pirate, but round the corner, another pirate. So, like, the rate at which we're moving through this space is much, much slower. Also, again, just to emphasise, the game is giving us, is telling us, making sure that we know about this barrels destroying crosses thing. This is its point, the last point where it'll tell us explicitly that's how this game works. And just to make sure the players have got it, there's a little cross on that door back there that they can use if they want. And if they're alert, so again, teaching the players to look out for things in the environment, they can destroy it, get a reward sound, and get a reward. So, in any case, back to the main progress of the level. Yeah, it's just, everything is now a lot more arduous. I mean, coming through here we have to do stuff with that, and then it's all the way up here. Yeah, it's all pretty slow. Every step that we're taking towards that switch is just taking longer and longer. And the pirates just keep coming and keep being almost tiresome to fight. I mean, it's not so bad with these green guys, but Mr. Purple down here, look how many hits it takes to deal with him, and look how static this fight is. We're just, like, standing here, waiting for his slow invincibility period to clear, and then just flicking things at him. Now, this could be boring, but I think, and indeed it is actually boring at other points in the game, combat is not one of this game's strong points, but handled well to create an aesthetic, as it does in this level, it actually works quite nicely. So finally, we flick the switch, and onwards. Now, yeah, this bit. Oh man, this bit. So, coming into the prison cell bit now, and, well, I mean, we can't go 30 seconds without coming across another pirate. So we're just getting bogged down in pirates. Progression has slowed a lot more compared with, you know, what we had at the start of the level. We can just avoid things, like avoiding the piranhas or avoiding that little bowworm, what's it. And we come into the prison cell bit now. Contrast this with what the obstacle we had at the start of the level. Doors have a very standard solution for dealing with. Gaps do not. How do we get across? Do we build a bridge? Do we get a ladder from somewhere else? Is there in fact going to be an alternate route that'll get us to the same location? Do we have to do some kind of grapple shenanigans? Do we fly? The player comes across this. They have no idea how they're meant to proceed. So that sense of guidance at this point in the level is really where it starts to decay. See, player comes down here, sees obviously the fairy, knows, since they were told at the start of the level, rescuing the fairy is what I've got to do, they know they've got to rescue the fairy and get her out of there somehow. And indeed, player's given some information. But still, find the machine and destroy it. It's not, go over here and here's a shiny arrow indicating where you have to go and this is the machine that you have to destroy. Player has to go find the machine on their own. So they're more reliant. The game is more relying on the fact that the players will pick up on the visual hints it's given them, like this corridor here, with the torches and with this bridge bit leaning outwards, encouraging them forwards. But the player doesn't think, okay, I'm being handheld at this point. They think, okay, I'm trying to figure out the problems. So they come across this thing here, and they're probably going to think, this looks important enough to be the machine, again, because of camera angles, stuff like that. But look, what do they do to destroy the machine? They see the patches. Well, by now the level has taught them patches equals barrels equals explosions, and since they've seen also there's a barrel back there, they know how to deal with this. But look how long it's going to take them. They have to grab a barrel, waddle slowly across this pipe to get to the crosses, fling their barrel, and do that 3 times. That is a very arduous obstacle, backing and forthing across the same space. Really, this is where the gameplay properly tar pits and slows down. In a good way, but still. This is arduous stuff. And of course, when this happens, and those blobs start spawning, the player comes across a bit of a puzzle. And this is the point when the player stops being insulated from their failures. So, at this point here, all of those 3 elements, boom, will start coming together, and the shift in tone really has kicked in by this point in the gameplay. So, player comes across here. Let's assuming they haven't figured out how to deal with these blob things. They get hit by a blob, boom, they drop their barrel, and they have to backtrack all the way back again to grab one. And these are several seconds when all the player's going to be doing is mulling over their failures and figuring out what went wrong. And I mean, it's not that easy for them to pick up exactly what it is they need to do. And even when they do figure out what they need to do, based on the clue the game gives you back there that you can throw your barrels in the air, it's still tight timing. So the player might indeed fail at this. In fact, when I was doing a take of this previously, I goofed up my barrel throw so bad that I had to ditch the recording and start it up again. So anyway, player does this several times, but they still have a bit of confidence at this point because they're rescuing the princess, and they were told at the start of the level, rescue the princess, that's what I gotta do. So they've still got, even if they've lost it in the kind of moment to moment what do I do right now things, they still have a sense of guidance and purpose in this level. But that is all about to change. See, when I throw my last barrel, boom, cutscene, reward sound, player knows what they're doing. Hooray, we've done the right thing. Prison opens. Fairy princess freed. Cutscene. And in a sec we get plot exposition as well. And a reward in the form of a new power. This is proper end of the level stuff right here. But the key thing is the level does not end at this point. The bit after this level, after this section, sorry, of the level, like, it doesn't fit into the visual arc of the story because, like, the visuals climax in their darker tone at this point. But in terms of gameplay, the bit afterwards continues this arc. See, at this point we've moved away from speed to slowness, and as soon as this cutscene ends and the level doesn't, the player, all of their sense of what they're doing in the level disappears entirely, and they're very apprehensive about what happens in the next loading section because they don't know what's coming at all. And in the last section, even though that previous bit as well, the player will be very conscious of their failures. They'll be even more conscious of their failures in the next bit as well. So, yeah, at this point, just as visually things have got gloomy, gameplay-wise, things are getting gloomy as well. And we'll see that in just a sec. There we go. Reward thing. Tum-ta-da-tum-tum-tum. Can we have a Yahoo? Ah, we don't get a Yahoo. Maybe we had a Yahoo already. I think I was talking and wasn't paying attention. Anyway, upwards and onwards. Upwards and onwards. How's your biscuit, by the way? I trust you are, in fact, eating one, or maybe more than one. Please discuss your biscuits in the comment section below. But yeah, again, we had the reward music, but now it's gone silent. So that sense of triumph, short-lived. And as we come up here, and the level keeps going, yeah, that's silence. Silence in games often breeds doubt and apprehension. And that's what's happening in the player's mind right now. So, player comes here, doesn't know what they're going to be facing, and then they're hit, boom, with this. That is a lot of draw distance for the PlayStation 2. Or indeed for the N64 or the Dreamcast. Yeah, this section is really slow. See, the player could just fall straight down, but they're given stuff to do on their descent, so they're not going to. They're going to take this section at a hover, which is even slower than a run, and it means, because the camera's from the top, that it feels like they're moving so slowly down here, in this atmospheric drift downwards. And although they can see down quite a bit, they also can't, because there are a lot of obstacles in the way, and a lot of distractions, like those lava pits. So they're not... it slowly dawns on them what they're facing. Like, at this point the player has probably identified that that's a pirate and a cage. But still, this is slow stuff, where the flow of information is not... well, it's as thick and syrupy as that flow of slime in the side. That's my simile, and I'm sticking with it. So anyway, boom. Another pirate. Pirates are getting harder, of course. Ow. There we go. Yeah, still not too bad, not too bad. But you see why the player wouldn't just jump straight down here, because, well, they'd miss out on all the stuff. And of course, if the player piles into the dirt, they spawn all the way up here, so the checkpoints are spacing out a lot more. I mean, I should mention that a lot of the things this level does aren't particularly unique to it. They're not special, ultra awesome Rayman Revolution unique trading card what's-it things. But it's the way this game uses these standard elements to do things. The overall package of things, which I'm trying to say is what makes this level special. You know, any artist can wield a paintbrush, but you got to know what you're doing if you want to paint a Sheila. You thought I'd say Picasso there, didn't you? Or what's that guy called? Da Vinci. But no. All about Sheila. Anyway. Yeah, the game does actually give you a bit of guidance here. This slightly kicks my argument in the dirt. But I think the argument still holds. And it's only because they're introducing a new mechanic. But the thing is, because it's a new mechanic the player has no experience with, their sense of confusion and apprehension is going to persist in this bit, because they're not going to have a good handle on the metrics of flying. And but I mean, if you see... that came out of nowhere. If you see that gap here, do you think I'll be able to reach it? I mean, I know I will, because it's the only place I can go to, but it's not obvious that I'll be able to reach it. And that's particularly the case with some of these later venti upwards draft things, where the gaps are even harder to judge. I mean, am I within range of that one, for instance? Well, again, maybe, but I can't judge visually. And, of course, getting that lum is going to be a lot of work. Arduous, because I've got a fair... Oh, someone, where are you? Where are you? I can't see you! There we go. There we go. Yes, again, hidden enemies. Previously, remember when I was saying in that bit at the start of the level, how open sight lines were being used to give the player a sense of confidence because they can see everything they need to do? Enemies that are off camera are pretty much the opposite. You pitch an enemy off camera and only give the player an auditory clue that they're being stalked by a menacing pirate in a parachute. And yeah, they're gonna panic. They are going to panic, even if actually the enemy isn't that threatening. But yes, of course, and actually I shan't do it at this point because I don't want to waste filming time. If I were to fall at this point, I would have to climb all the way back up to the point where I'm at, because, yeah, no checkpoints or anything like that. And of course not taking damage. Oh yeah, off-camera shooting. So this is failing in real time. This is the culmination of all that no longer being insulated from failure stuff. And, I mean, you just look back, you compare this with what we were doing at the start of the level. It's just such a dramatic difference. I keep coming back to words like dramatic and powerful and shift, and that's just because that, precisely in my view, characterises this level. It's just profound stuff. Anyway, this is actually the last bit of the level now. So, lots of exposition. So player does actually know at this point, okay, this level is finally over. I mean, we've reached a dead end, we know this is over. But the fact that this happened about, made the level about, what would we say, an extra third of the level comes after the point when they think it's going to end. Yeah, it makes the player apprehensive for the rest of the game. So, yeah, end of the level. Boom. Arduous stuff. I should mention, by the way, that the rest of the game does not live up to this level. But I don't think that diminishes my argument that this level promises something very interesting through its gameplay. Also, I just like the fact that the end of the level goes, you know, instead of Mario, it's all, hooray, you got the flagpole, congratters. Or Sonic, it's, hey, you got a B rank, good for you. The end of the level, it's like, okay, you don't have everything. Get stuffed, old chap. You have to get everything if you want to reward sound out of me. Just makes me laugh. But anyway, that's that. It's time to bring this video to a close, because I've been talking for quite long enough, I think. I hope you found it interesting. I hope, even if I haven't convinced you of my argument, you still have come away with an impression that the level is a good one. And I hope you look forward to whatever other videos I do in this vein in the future. I shan't promise any particular upload timetable for them. It'll just be whenever I come across another level that's worthy of in-depth treatment. So, until that time, and until we meet again, I'll wish you a very hearty good day. So, until next time, toodles!